Hey friends, it's Jen with ChappyPlans. Thanks for joining me for Try It Tuesday. Today is part 3 of my April 2025 album, so stick around. Hey friends, it's Jen with ChappyPlans. Thanks for joining me. I am going to start the rest of my album here so I can finish it all out. Here's my giant tray of goodies, of papers and photos and things I have pre-selected to use. And of course, I'll be pulling in things here and there as I go. The first thing I'm going to do is create a pocket because the day after we had dinner, we checked into our hotel, and in the morning we went to the Strong Museum of Play, which is in Rochester, and decided we would do that on our way back. So I have quite a bit of ephemera from the day, and I want to house it all in a pocket. So right now I'm just showing you, these are the fish. That's Nora's fish, then my jellyfish, and then Matt's fish that we all colored in, and it's part of the aquarium section of the zoo, not the zoo, the museum, where you can upload it on this special projector, and then it shows up on a screen, a digital screen aquarium with tons of different fish. Whoever draws or colors them gets to upload them, and they swim around. It's really cool looking. And so we kept our little sheets. So I want to put those in the pocket as well as some other things. Let me just speed up the camera real quick, and I'll continue doing this voiceover. So right now I'm constructing my very own DIY envelope or pocket to hold all the ephemera from the day, and there's quite a bit of it. So I want this to be wide enough to comfortably hold the 3 drawings we made and all the other ephemera bits that I saved from the day. So I know I want it to be fairly tall so that these longer letter-sized pieces of paper don't just flop out. So, and then I'm going to score it 4 inches, and then leave a 1/4 inch flap so that the whole pocket or envelope, whatever you want to call it, is 4 inches tall or wide. And then it's about, I want to say it's about 5 inches tall. And then I just scored a 1/4 inch from the bottom to create the flap. And then I'm going to trim off at a diagonal to create little flaps there, and then take my score tape and adhere the flaps to one another so that it then creates a nice little pocket for everything to sit in. So what else is in there? There is one of the tickets from admission, a parking ticket, one of the little, I don't think we were supposed to take it home, but Nora forgot to return hers. It's a bracelet. It's a ARFID bracelet that you can use to engage in various games upstairs on the 2nd floor, which is really fun. There's a couple pieces of packaging from the gifts she got in the gift shop. So she got herself a tiny cinema roll and a tiny Cheer Bear plushie. And then there's also the receipt from the kids' life-size Wegmans grocery store. Wegmans is a chain in, as far as I know, it's just in like central New York, but maybe it's other places. It's pretty infamous. It's a giant grocery store. And so the receipt from that grocery store play area, and I'll get to that in a minute if that's not making sense, is in there as well. And then in one of the areas of the museum, there's what's called the Play Lab, and it was Totoro-inspired crafts that you could make. So I made a Totoro, and I decided to glue him to the outside of the back pocket just for some fun. He didn't quite fit in the pocket, but it also made sense because it kind of decorated the pocket as well. Later on, I will go back and add a tag with some journaling, but for now, I am leaving it as is and moving on to the next part of the story, which I selected this circular paper with spots for photos or journaling. It's from the Good Story kit. I think it's a couple years old. And I pre-selected some photos that are going to go on the front. Oh, nope, here I go. I'm going to glue Totoro in so he stays nice and secure. I also switch out that paper clip. It's pink heart, but I'm going to switch it out, and you'll see that later on. So back to the circle paper. I've got 5 photos, and then I decided to embellish them very simply with one little word phrase sticker from an older Ali Edwards sticker sheet. So I'll just read those off to you from top to bottom, left to right. So I'm going to choose Stand Tall for the picture of Nora and Matt looking up at the optical illusion. Amazing of Nora in front of Sesame Place. Love of the picture of Nora and Matt with the Scooby-Doo Mansion Mayhem installation. so much fun on the one of Nora in the Hansel and Gretel fireplace, and then extra special of the picture of Nora standing in front of the Berenstain Bears display. And underneath each of the little photos, I journaled more information about those areas of the museum, like those specific exhibits. So for example, I wrote Sesame Street, there were 5 decades of memorabilia to see. It was so nostalgic for me. It was a bit young for Nora, but she was glad to stop and take a photo at 123 Sesame Street Stoop. So I'm just going to adhere the photos with a little tiny, I'm going to poke through the paper and the photo with my paper piercer and then attach the tiny little brads that I have. They are very old. I think they're from Hobby Lobby, if I'm not mistaken. And then on top of the good times circle, all I did was add a little puffy, like emoji fox sticker, really cute little sticker, and stamped the date. I'm not going to read you all the journaling under each of the photos. It's just a lot of extra details about each of the exhibits, like I said. Some of it I copied from the Strong Museum of Play's website. So on the front of this fold out, I'm going to put 3 smaller pictures, also circle shaped. I use the Diptyque app to create the circle photo. Oh, that flower there in the top left corner, Nora was showing me was dry. She made me an air dry clay flower. So that's what that is, in case you're like, and how is this going to fit into the album? It doesn't. So she was in here talking to me while I was putting this together. So I'm going to adhere those 3 photos of the museum also. And first I want to put pattern paper in the background so that it's not just 3 circles on white paper. So, and then once you turn the entire folded circle page over, it's going to have this long photo of Nora on the back that you just saw. So I'm going through my Ali Edwards papers to find one that I think will work. And I think I liked the fact, well, the paper on the next page has a lot of bluish shades of blue in it because of the sky. And so, and then there's the Seek Joy journaling card, which is like I guess like a light aqua color almost. And so I thought this pattern paper that had Ali's handwriting on it, lots of different sentiments, made sense. And it was, even though it's busy because of all the writing, it's just, you know, one shade of like greenish blue and then the white lettering, which I thought was pretty, you know, looked pretty good in the background. So I'm going to use my score tape again to adhere the pattern paper to the front flap, and then attach the circle photos. And then I'm going to add the picture on the back of Nora scaling the wall, which obviously she's not really scaling a wall, but it's an optical illusion. It looks like she is. You just take your picture in front of this photo op, and it was part of the the DC comic or superheroes section of the museum. I forget what it's called, but I wrote about all of them, or I mentioned them all at least in some of the journaling that I included. So it didn't quite fit the space that I had chosen to put it on, but that's okay. It's good enough for me. And then I'm using my We Are Memory Keepers punch to punch through the holes so it'll sit nicely on the rings. Looking at it next to Totoro and making sure it all kind of works logistically. That's just my Tombow tape runner I'm using now to put the photos there. So they're of the outside of the museum in this really cool view of the giant glass window from inside. Very colorful pictures. I thought they all kind of lent themselves. They looked all cohesive, put together. And so I just want to embellish it really simply. So I've got these puffy stickers that I have in my stash. They are from Vicky Boutin and American Crafts. So I'm just using different arrows here and there for fun and to add color, playing off of the color in the pictures. I've got a yellow arrow pointing to where it says play, large Scrabble tiles. And that's a pretty iconic outdoor section of the museum, which was closed while we were there, but I still wanted to point to the play because it's called the Strong Museum of Play. And I also selected a word phrase that said here. Then I had a little red arrow on the bottom circle picture, and then I just added a couple little puffy dots in random spots just for a little pop of color. No, really no good reason other than I felt like I wanted to stick them there. You know, why not? make it a little bit whimsical and fun. That's the whole point of this album entirely. So then flipping over to the back side, there's the picture of Nora, quote unquote, scaling the wall. And in the background, that is part of the Rochester skyline, in case you didn't know. And I just picked this die cut that says Moments and Memories from the Q&A kit. And I distressed the edges and popped it up on some foam tape just to give it a little more dimension. I also will go back later and add 3 puffy asterisk stickers, or maybe it's now, I can't remember. And then at the end, I'm also going to go back and add a little journaling label that just says American Comic Book Heroes. This was a cool exhibit, photo op. Nora is scaling buildings. And then the Seek Joy card I wanted to use for an opportunity to include just more journaling. So I wrote, we had so much fun exploring this giant museum. We knew it could take more than a day to see everything, so we tried to move fast through some areas and took more time on the exhibits Nora wanted to see. We were there from 12 to 5 p.m. And I just kept it really simple, embellishing it. You'll see me go through my Studio Calico circles that are coordinating with this quote that I chose from a packet of quotes die cuts. And it says, roads, where we're going, we don't need roads, which is a quote from Back to the Future. And I thought the color was perfect because of the browns on the photo on the left. And it was also a fitting sentiment to use. I just trimmed off the little speech bubble part of it, like the little, I don't know what that is, like the tail of it. And then I trimmed down this gingham plaid, whatever you want to call it, circle patterned die cut as well, and then added a few black puffy hearts. Underlined my journaling. My journaling I did in the size 10 nib from Pigma, the microns, and then I underlined it with my Muji gel pen, which is a very fine, thin 0.38 size nib. And I like the sloppy journaling next to it. I think it looks good and it makes sense, and I just love to do my own handwriting if I can. On the back of it, there is a ton of journaling. I'm not going to read it in this video, but it's all about each of the exhibits. So it talks about some of the main exhibits we saw, numbered 1 through 7, and I just kept it simple. I put a Play a Little puffy sticker at the top, which made sense because of the Museum of Play, and then I stamped 1 through 7 using this December daily stamp set, and wrote all the exhibits that that are featured in the photos on the right of this flip out. You'll see that's going to sit next to the journaling. So I've got Hello Kitty, that was an exhibit. The Persistence of Vision, which was an optical illusion exhibit. The Super Kids Market, the Wegmans Super Kids Market was really cool. That was Nora's favorite thing, so I'll read a little bit more, talk a little bit more about that. It was a fully stocked kids grocery store. It had everything from like the produce section to the dry goods. It was set up just like a real grocery store with signs like you were in one. It had a little bakery and a pizza place and everything, a little cafe. Very, very cool. Lots of interactive play opportunities, and you actually shop for the items. You get to pick 5 items, and then you scan them at the register, which is a real register that you actually put in. Each of the items has a barcode, and then you get the receipt when you check out, which is what is the piece of ephemera that I included in that pocket, was the receipt that Nora got when she went, quote, shopping at the store. She loved it. She wanted to stay there all day, but we had so much to see, and that was at the beginning of the trip. So 4 was the Infinity Arcade, 5 was Level Up. That was really cool. That's where you use the bracelet and you got to create an avatar and earn achievements by playing through 5 different game zones, which Nora and Matt really loved, and it gave me an opportunity to sit and rest my feet. Then there was the Hasbro Game Park, the Pixel Landing, where she got her picture taken in front of, there Nora was saying hello, of Link from Zelda. There was a life-size, huge Donkey Kong arcade game that Matt was playing, a life-size 15-foot chutes and ladders board that was on the wall that Nora and I played. There were some other areas and exhibits that we walked through, such as the Black Doll Designers, of course Barbie, the Toy Halls of Fame, and aquariums at Rainbow Reef, which is where we made the fish, the colored fish that you saw. The last photo that I attached to the front side of the flap of the photo grid, which has 16 photos from throughout the day, is just a selfie we took in the gift shop that says the Strong National Museum of Play. And I just embellished that with some puffy stickers. Right now, you're seeing that I'm switching out the paper clip, and I'm adding journaling to a tag that I had in my stash, talking about what each of the pieces of ephemera are inside this pocket. Just in case, obviously somebody might be looking at it someday that has no idea what they're supposed to be or why I included them. So I wrote a little bit about them. And on the back, I also talked about Totoro, making him in the play lab, and the rainbow fish that we included inside the pocket as well. So that is everything for this trip. It was a very short trip, but we packed in a ton of fun and we were on the road quite a bit. I hope you enjoyed this quick process video. Please let me know if you have questions. I know I went through things pretty quickly. I really enjoyed doing it in a smaller album and using my stash. That feels very, very satisfying. So on that note, let me know if you like this video by giving it a thumbs up and subscribing. If you're not, I would greatly appreciate your support in that way. And leave a comment down below. Let me know if you've ever been there, or if you've got some favorite vacation spots or museums. Please share them. I will be back next week with a full chatty flip through of this album. I'm not going to do a silent one to music because it's pretty quick, so it shouldn't be too long. And I hope you'll come back and join me. So take care of yourselves, friends. Remember that you are enough. Bye.